jungle. Green Day, bringing it back to the jungle. And the game day, yeah, the jungle's back. Got the natty pack in the orange and black stripes.
Welcome, everybody, to, I guess we could call this, Joe, Season 4, Week 1 of the Cincinnati Bengals Weekly Show. I am your host for the Bengals Weekly Show, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I want to welcome my co-host, War number 58 for the Orange and Black in Super Bowl 23, Joe Kelly. How you doing, Joe?
Hey, doing great, Mike. Another season, man. I think we have some exciting things to look forward to. I think preseason went pretty well. Our starters look real sharp. Look real good. We got some new coaches and some new players. Mike, I'm optimistic. I think we say that every year about the Bengals forecast for the upcoming season. But I actually feel and see some real changes this year.
Yeah, I think this is the year, other than just hoping it. I think this is the year they make the playoffs, they win a game, and could actually make a deep run. Game one will start off in Indianapolis Sunday at 1 o'clock against the Colts, who are another team that have made significant changes. They got an entirely new coaching staff this offseason. And then on top of that, with the coaching change came a switch to a 4-3, more Tampa 2-style defense from the hybrid 3-4 that they used to run. And they're going to have a dozen or more new starters. When you look at this team, they're a team that has Andrew Luck. And when you have Andrew Luck, you have a chance to win any game that you play. But they added Quentin Nelson, who I thought was a great pick in the draft. Eric Ebron at tight end, Ryan Grant at wide receiver. But when I look at this team, outside of Andrew Luck, there's nothing there that really scares me, Joe.
Yeah, you look at the team; they're excited about it's new, it's brand new. We have a franchise quarterback that's back and he's healthy. We made a total makeover of the staff and pretty much almost more than half of a total makeover as far as actual starters. And you're starting in the NFL, you're a good player. You had to have a great college career in order to get that. But then once you get here, to say that, hey, you're a starter in the NFL is huge. So I don't want to take away from any of that. But at the end of the day, Mike, when I look at it, they're average guys. A couple above average, player here, player there. But what I don't see, I don't see the A.J. Greens. I don't see the Tyler Eiferts. I don't see the killer speed with John Ross. I don't see Mixons. I don't see, there's a lot of things, the Dunlaps, the Geno Atkins. I don't see those type caliber players for Indy. And going into the game, I think that our impact players are going to be the ones to make that difference.
Yeah, and the new defense, I think, is something that will take a while for the Colts to get going also. A Tampa 2 compared to a 3-4 is completely different. So it's according to how long that takes. When I look at the Colts, though, the thing that scares me not so much is Andrew Luck. The thing that really scares me is the running backs, because Frank Gore is a possible Hall of Famer someday. They've got Marlon Mack, who I think is a solid second running back. And last year, the Bengals were not stout against the run. So I think we're going to find out a lot about this team going against a quarterback like Andrew Luck and going against two good running backs.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think that's, Mike, that's where I think the biggest strides that we made this offseason. If you look at the preseason games, primarily when the starters are in, you really can't, really look at anything in depth when you go later on in the preseason game. But when I look at the core guys that we have, when I look at our interior, when I look at, I think linebacker we've upgraded. We've added, some more pieces to the puzzle. And then you look at, what Geno Atkins and Carlos Dunlap, these guys are Pro Bowl type caliber guys. And I think with the new defensive coordinator, to Austin, I think we're up for the challenge. Well, obviously we'll be without perfect, but I think they looked comfortable. They looked comfortable in the new defensive scheme. I looked at some of the games, and when the starters were in, I was looking at a defense that looked cohesive. They looked together. They looked like they were in sync. And that's the biggest thing. When you go in, it's going to be huge for the Indianapolis Colts because it's a new defense, new players. So you're practicing, you're playing preseason. You're not throwing the whole kitchen sink. Believe me, the whole kitchen sink went in this week, Mike, on both parts. There's some things that we were showing. We were really doing just a lot of base stuff, and out of that base stuff, we may have showed some things here and there. But I guarantee you, the entire kitchen sink is going to be thrown out Sunday. So when you look at what they have as far as their running backs and what we have, I still think Mike, that it's a matchup and it's a matchup in our favor.
Yeah, and when you look at this team, the Bengals are the youngest team in the NFL now, and just with that, when you look at these guys from William Jackson, rookie Jesse Bates, Andrew Billings, who I think we need to have a big year out of, Carl Lawson, Jordan Willis, Nick Vigil, Jordan Evans. What you have here on defense, I think, is a much more athletic group than what the Bengals have had in the past couple of years.
Yeah, this game, NFL has always been a game of speed. One thing you can't do, Mike, you can't teach speed. You can teach technique, you can teach scheme. You can teach certain moves and tricks and things like that, but you can't teach speed. And our overall team speed is better, but our on the defensive side of the ball, our team speed is tremendously better. But like you said, when you mentioned Andrew Billings, you look at these Kevin Willis, Carl Lawson. You look at those William Jackson, those second-year guys. Those second-year guys, matched up with those other guys in there with Geno Atkins, the veteran, Carlos Dunlap, the veteran, Michael Johnson. When you look at it and you see the matchup with those guys, and you see what these guys are going to bring. But you look at from Andrew Billings from last year, obviously he got hurt, so we really weren't able to see a lot. But Nick Mitchell, he has a year under his belt. William Jackson obviously has a year under his belt. So when you look at that, and you look at to me, it's we're looking at a caliber team that we can say, hey, you look at the top tier teams, we can match up. We can match up on paper. But like anything, Mike, is still going out there on Sunday and executing that and not getting out there and laying an egg.
Yeah, and when you look at the Colts offense against the Bengals defense, I think there are two huge matchups here that could determine this game. And the first one is T.Y. Hilton versus William Jackson. This is a great matchup. I mean, T.Y. Hilton's a stud wide receiver. He's probably the only stud skill position player outside of Frank Gore that they've got. And William Jackson showed last year that he may be able to be a shutdown corner the likes the Bengals haven't seen in a long time.
Absolutely. I totally agree. He looked even a little faster. But I think with having a year under his belt, and being comfortable with the scheme. Obviously, the interior, the 907, things changed a lot with the defensive scheme. But when you're talking about cornerbacks, cover 2 is cover 2. Cover 1 is cover 1. Cover 3 is cover 3. So when you're talking about the defensive schemes and defensive changes, it really involves the interior guys, the linebackers, the D-line, and the safeties are really involved. Playing corner, there's some things they got to learn, but still playing corner, all coverages are pretty similar throughout the NFL. So with him, he's going to be able to play even faster, Mike, because of his comfort, his level of comfort, and his level of confidence. And I'm sure he's going into this year with reading a lot of the things that people are writing about him, but actually doing those things that people that are saying that he can do, he's actually doing that in practice. He's actually has shown that in the preseason. So I'm sure he is up for the task of covering one of the best wide receivers in the league.
Yeah, and another matchup that I think will be huge will be Quentin Nelson, the rookie guard out of Notre Dame, against Geno Atkins. I think Nelson, by most people, is widely considered the best interior line prospect to come out of the draft in years. And his very first game, his first matchup, is against Geno Atkins, who I think with him and Aaron Donald with the Rams, they're the two best interior defensive linemen in the league right now.
Oh, absolutely. The kid from Notre Dame obviously has the talent to become, one of the best guards in the NFL. But Mike is still a rookie. And I think the biggest thing that, going into my rookie year, Coach kept telling me, I kept hearing, you're rookie. You don't know what you don't know. And I'm looking at my coach like, what the hell is he talking about? I know the defense, I know the schemes, but once you get out there and you are put out there in that game, and then you're seeing the speed of the game, from preseason to the first actual game, the speed of the game increases, coaches, they make subtle changes here and there, and then you see the level of competition that you have. He's gonna be. I'm sure he's gonna be confident. The kid is gonna be excited. But it's a hell of a way to start your rookie, NFL career, going against one of the best interior guys in the league, and a guy who leverage-wise, I think we can say, okay, in interior guys, Geno's in the top 4, top 5, but as far as the leverage and how he plays, I don't see anybody in the league that plays with the leverage that he has. Unfortunately, this young kid, he's going to get a good dose of that.
Well, the closest thing I could come to a matchup thinking back was Anthony Munoz, his rookie season in 1980. The Bengals opened up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had what would be a Hall of Famer in the future. Leroy Selman matched up against Munoz. And Munoz took care of Selman, but I don't think there's too many guys we could compare to Anthony Munoz or a John Hanna. And that's just something I remember. I do remember we lost the game 17-12 in a rainstorm also, but you were probably out there cheering for the Rams or something back then, weren't you?
I'm LA boy. So, it's going to be an interesting matchup. But, you look at Geno. I think as good as Geno has been, Mike, I still think he's getting better. I just seen there was a couple plays he made in the preseason. Specifically, I don't know if you remember the play against Buffalo where he literally walked the guy. Yeah. You're talking a guy 300 plus, and I'm walking him back to the quarterback like he's my baby sister. He's ready. And I think he's and the rest of the team. I think they have something to prove. I think they should be playing with a chip on their shoulder based on how last year was a total failure. I think that these guys have something to prove, and they want to get out there and prove that they are a playoff caliber type team.
All right, so before we go to the offensive side, what did you think about George Iloka being gone, and did that opinion change when they long-term lock up Geno Atkins and Carlos Dunlap?
Well, I think after the fact, when they wind up signing Geno and they wind up signing Carlos, I think once I looked at it, George Iloka was collateral damage. There's nothing that I've seen or that indicated to me that he would be the safety that would be traded. I actually thought it would be Sean 36, Sean Williams.
Yes.
I thought it would be him. I still thought that the kid from Vanderbilt and Iloka would be the tandem. back there. But when you look at the numbers and the contracts, in this age of salary cap, and I think when it first started, when I was, I think after a Super Bowl year in the early '90s, the owners were still trying to figure out how the salary cap work. Now they're professionals at it. They know, and they know they had to sign a couple of guys. And when you look at it, I actually think he was collateral damage because I still think he had some good years left in him. But at the end of the day, Mike, it is what it is. I know what that feeling feels like. Because I was a guy who was traded also in that fashion. I think he said he got a email or text or his. It was nobody told him in person. Well, I recall Mike Brown walking in and calling, asking Sam to come out, and Sam poked his head in and asked to speak to me, and he handed me a plane ticket, just like that. And I was a New York Jet, so I know what George's feeling, but at the end of the day, it is a business, and unfortunately, you have those type of casualties on each team every year.
All right, we talked about the youngness and the speed on the defense. It's the same on the offense. You got a 22-year-old Joe Mixon. You got Tyler Boyd, 23, John Ross, 22, Josh Malone, 22. Even a guy like Tyler Eifert's only 28, and really he's only played like 3 games in his career, so he shouldn't be that banged up. When you look at these guys, I don't see how the Colts cover them. I mean, when you look at it, there's nothing there. I mean, the Colts have one solid cornerback, and that's it. I mean, when you look at it, you got Quincy Wilson to match up with A.J. Green. And I think Wilson is their best corner. I think he's going to be a stud in this league over the next few years. But even if he was to take A.J. Green out of the game, there's nobody to cover the rest of these guys. I mean, this is a game that it absolutely blows my mind that the Bengals are 3-point dogs in this game.
Yeah. And Mike, the 3-point is Vegas. It's based on what we did last year because we did. We laid
they did less than we did.
Yeah. And you know what? It's the luck factor. Vegas. You're talking about betting a team. We'll have the Raiders. Next year in Vegas. So when you look at it, it's they feel that luck's presence alone is enough to beat the Bengals. And that's solely, to me, that's based off what we did and what we showed on the field last year. But I don't think they're not taking into consideration the changes that we had, the speed that we have, and the fact that the weapons that we have, and guess what, Mike? They're all healthy. I think going into the game, Eifert's healthy. Ross is healthy. Mixon is healthy. Giovanni's healthy. A.J. Green is healthy. Where Tyler Boyd is healthy. When you're looking at that, we have a definite, oh, my God, we got an upgrade, Mike. Finally at offensive tackle.
And center.
We got somebody
and center. It was bad at both positions.
Yeah. So, we have some guys that can block. We got all we needed some guys that can sustain a block for 2 seconds. That's it, 2 seconds. Let us do a 3-step drop. I think they're underestimating our changes. There wasn't a lot. We didn't have just a spring sale and we went and changed everybody because I'm glad because we didn't need to do that. There were some changes. We changes at center. We talked about it all year last year. There's changes at center that we need to make, and we made them. And there was definitely changes at offensive tackle, and we made them. And we all, as Bengals fans, we hope and pray that Tyler Eifert can give us, some gains, and he's healthy. I just think Andy looked sharp. Andy looked sharp. because he was able to take that 3-step drop, take that 5-step drop, and actually go through this thing that they call a progression, Mike. He was able to look at his number one choice, second choice, and sometimes his third choice, if not his fourth choice. And I don't think he was comfortable or he even had a chance to do that at all at any part of last year. So I think they're totally underestimating our capability on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and I think people completely underestimate what Andy Dalton can do with an offensive line and guys around him. The other thing that stands out to me is you go from playing Indianapolis on Sunday to Thursday night at home against Baltimore. And I think this Indianapolis game is almost imperative because it's a team you should beat. It's a road game.
Yeah.
You beat Baltimore, you're 2-0, and then you've got to go to Carolina and Atlanta, which will both be tough games. So I think it's imperative they win these first two games.
Yeah. I'm looking at it, and obviously everybody, Mike, you want to start the season off, on the bang. You want to go in, and even if it's a road game, it doesn't have a far trip. It's only an hour and a half, so it's not a huge difference for us. But you want to go out there. You want to show everybody here with the new offensive line coach, the new defensive coordinators, with the pieces that we have.
Yeah, you want to make a statement.
You want to make a statement, and you want to come out. You want to come out the box and say like, "Wow, hey, I think we're gonna have to pay attention to those Cincinnati Bengals." Mike, I think from what I've seen, and not just like we always hope, Mike. Yeah, we're going to do it, and gung ho, Mike, we're going to do it again. We always that's just our passion. But what I've actually seen on field and on the field in person, I see a better team. I see a better group of guys. I see better coaching. There seems to be a sense of urgency out there with the starters. They were connecting, and they were all like I said, that cohesion, was there. That togetherness was there. This is something that can be similar to when our '87 season. We sucked. We went on strike, came back, and we lost. I want to say 7-8 games, winning. We were ahead going into the fourth quarter. Yeah. We lost all those games. And, we came back because we knew we had a good team. But we had something to prove. I think this team can be that special team.
Yeah, and I think the Bengals have twice beaten the Colts season openers in Indy, 1995 at a Doug Pelfrey field goal. And in 1987, the Bengals beat the Colts. You actually played in that game, didn't you, Joe?
Yeah, I believe that was before the strike. Yeah, because we went on strike.
Strike was week 3.
Week 3. Yeah, week 3. So yeah. So I'm looking forward to these guys. Coming out and making a statement. Because you look at our league, Mike, and obviously Cleveland is they're on Hard Knocks and they're getting the most pub. And they made a lot of changes, and
they still
a lot
only
of
go to win 3 or 4 games, Joe.
Yeah, they went 5-0 in preseason, and still you got Pittsburgh, you got Baltimore, and I don't think anybody is once again I think it's good for us because I think they're looking at this is going to be the same old Bengals. So I think they're not going to expect, even if we go out and we beat Indy. Indy sucked last year, so they're going to say Indy's the same team. Baltimore didn't make the playoffs. So the thing is to getting off to a good start. So when we came out in '88, we got off to a great start, 7-0. And momentum just builds.
And that was something in '88 where you beat the Cardinals, and everybody says, "Well, the Cardinals suck." But the turning point, I think, in that season was week 2. You go play Philadelphia with Randall Cunningham. They ended up being one of the best teams in the league that year, and you guys beat them 28-4 or 28-24 at Veterans Stadium.
Yeah. Remember that game? Yeah. So you look at it's about going out there and redeeming your value, redeeming, who you are. Because that's not, last year is not who we are. Like, we definitely, talent-wise, we definitely underplayed last year.
Yeah, I think this, Joe, I think with the offensive line we had last year, that's who we were. But I think when you add an offensive line coach, you add a new center, you add a new left tackle, that's not who this team is. I think this team's a playoff team.
I agree. Mike, I agree. When you look at our weapons, and like I said, we didn't need the best, the Dallas Cowboy offensive line, but we needed an upgrade, and we definitely got an upgrade. And that being said, this is they're not the offensive line of the '88 Bengals. Obviously, they got a long way to go before they can match. That.
There's only been a handful of lines as good as that line.
Right. So but that being said, they have talent. They have talent at wide receiver. They have talent at tight end. They have talent in the backfield. They have a talented, proven quarterback. They have a scrappy defense. And so our thing is to see who's going to apply everything that we see on paper and what we read about. Who's going to go starting game one, and who's going to go out and show that they are as good as advertised.
All right, Joe. We'll go ahead and wrap it up for this week. Any parting shots, closing words?
Well, Mike, I'm excited. Like,
and we got to have a prediction. We got to have a prediction.
Yeah. We got to have a prediction. Yeah, I'm saying that here we're going to go. I see us going in there, and I see our offensive guys moving. I see our running game gashing them. I see us, opening up the field. I like some of the calls that I've seen from the offensive coordinator, moving that ball around, spreading out the field. And Mike, I'm looking at us scoring, 30, 34, 35 points, and I do not see the Indianapolis Colts, Mike, going up and down the field on this defense. This is the NFL, and their guy's going to make a break too.
I don't know how they're going to block the defensive line the Bengals have.
No, I don't. Third down, I think Carl Lawson, from what I've seen, oh my God, Mike, I can't see. I can't see them. I see us getting off off the field on third down. That I think that's going to be a huge thing for us, getting off on third down. And I think when Lawson comes in there, and those guys come in there for third down, that's going to be the defense. That's going to be the change that we didn't have last year. And that's going to be the deciding factor. So even though they have the Colts favorite, Mike, by 3, I'm looking at us easily winning 35-14. I don't see it being closer to that.
Yeah, I'm going 37-17. I think they blow this team out. I think they come back and they beat Baltimore, and the entire city will be ready to go. Because this is a team that has the talent.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And next Thursday they're bringing our the Super Bowl guys back, man. We're having the 30th year reunion for that Super Bowl team. So we'll be honored on the field at halftime. And from what I hear, this is probably it's going to be the biggest gathering of players from that team. Maybe a couple of wet eyes, because I think that I heard that they're bringing Ricky Dixon in. Flying him in, and obviously I don't know if everybody knows that Ricky is suffering from ALS, and he's pretty much wheelchair bound. We did go see him last year, and he really only had movement of his right hand. But I hear that they're flying him into town with his son Ricky Jr. That is just looking forward to a victory Sunday and getting out there. Thursday night, a Thursday night game, nationally televised, Super Bowl 30th year reunion for Super Bowl 23, and hopefully that the players can go out and whoop the Ravens and cap that night and make it a very special night for the current players, the former players, and all of Bengal Nation.
Yeah, it is great that the Bengals are finally doing something like that. It should have been done on the 10th, 20th, and 25th anniversary too, because really, even if a team wins a Super Bowl here, there'll never be another team like that. Just the characters you had, from Mickey Woods to the SWAT team, the Sam, the Who Dey rap video. I mean, Boomer with his MVP season, James Brooks running all over the place. I mean, it just I don't know if there could ever be another team as attached to this city as that one was.
Yeah, and it was a close-knit team. And I would say that why that team was special, Mike, because literally you have half of that team that is still here today. 30 years later, we're still here today, and our kids have grown up together, and we literally still go out. We visit each other, and we go out with each other. We vacation with each other. So it was a special time then. It's continued to be a special time. Special thing 30 years later, and it's something that you want. This year's current Bengal on paper, they can be like that, and you never know. They can have a special team and have a better record. 13-3. That's kind of stretching it, but
the only way they can have a better record is to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we'll see. It's going to be interesting. I think we're going to have our shows this year, Mike, are not going to be starting off and damn, another one. We gave up another one. So hopefully.
The shows were like repeats last year, and
Oh man! Oh my God! Yeah, same old thing. So, hopefully this is gonna be a start of something great, and get this city back on fire like it was in 1988.
All right, guys, make sure you check us out after Game 1. Maybe Monday or Tuesday. What do you think, Joe, for next week's show?
Yeah, Tuesday is fine.
A Thursday game. Yeah, we'll figure out something Tuesday. Just follow us at Grueling Truth on Twitter so you'll know when the show's going to be. Also, tonight, if you're a fan of the CFL, we've got the CFL Weekly Pick'em Show with myself, Brian Schmidt, and four-time Grey Cup champion Robert Drummond, who also played in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles. And tomorrow, as always, we'll be live at noon with myself and Steve Risley on Survive and Advance, our daily show on thegruelingtruth.net. And remember now, you can hear us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Joe Kelly, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.